oh my God, this like demon monster child. What did I get myself into?
I used to babysit a lot in high school to earn some extra money and over the summers, but this was my very first job in college. It was my very first time babysitting for one of my professor's kids, and he had 3 kids. It was 2 older girls. They were in like 1st grade and 3rd grade, and then 1 baby who was around 12 months old. They were super sweet kids, and I could tell it was gonna be like a pretty good night. They were fun and well behaved. So the parents left, and the kids had a couple bedrooms, so we were playing in the bedrooms. And then all of a sudden, I swear it happened in like half of a second, the baby somehow ended up in his room by himself. He shut the door and pushed in the lock. So I was freaking out internally because I didn't want to scare the kids because he was obviously a baby and you can't leave them alone. Me and the 2 girls were talking to the baby through the door. We were trying to tell him how to open the door, but of course he didn't understand. So while the baby was locked in the room, I thought a lot about whether or not I should call the parents, whether or not I should even call the police or something. But the baby was fine, he wasn't freaking out, and I felt like he was safe. And I really didn't want to bother the parents. Like, they got a babysitter for a reason and they want like a night out. And so I'm like looking all around the house for the key. I'm like looking for stuff to try to pick this lock. I'm asking the 2 other kids if they know how to open the door. Of course they don't. They're convinced that he's gonna like starve alone in this bedroom, but they like run to get Cheerios and they're like sliding them underneath the door. It feels like it's been a long time, but it's probably only been like a couple minutes. While they were pushing Cheerios under the door, I was thinking, oh my God, he could choke on this and I couldn't get to him in time. And even if I called the police, they still wouldn't be able to get here in time. So I was freaking out, like just picturing like the worst case scenario. Even though it was his room, it was baby proof. The windows were locked, he's 12 months old, he can't open a window, but I was just like thinking of all these like crazy scenarios that he could get himself into while he was alone. Eventually, I found a key somehow and I unlocked the door. He was fine, all the kids were fine, and the night went on, kids went to bed great. So this whole ordeal felt like it lasted for hours, but honestly, the baby was probably only in the room for maybe 10 minutes, and it was totally fine in the end. Then the parents were coming home, and I was super nervous. I didn't know whether I should tell them what happened or not, because like the baby was fine. Like, I could just not tell them and then it wouldn't even matter. But I decided to be honest. So I told them what happened. They were just like, oh yeah, he's learned how to do that recently. It's been happening a lot. And I was like, okay, like, thanks for letting me know. Thanks for telling me where the key was. Thanks for explaining how to get him out of the room. But anyway, it was all fine. However, they never asked me to babysit again. So that was the end of that job.
For my first babysitting job, I was 14 years old, and I was babysitting for a neighbor around the corner for 2 little boys, Vinny, who was 6, and Mark, who was 9. And it's supposed to be just like a simple, like, let's try you out while I go to work not far away. So it wasn't like any kind of like overnight thing. So I anticipated it being kind of light, like a few hours, slice up some apples, you know, hang out, play, kick some ball in the backyard. What ended up happening is the mother told me that the 9-year-old Mark, in fact, was kind of pissed because she told him that he could not go to a friend's house. He had to stay home while I watched them when she went to work. And he was not happy that she told him no. And so she informed me, hey, FYI, Mark might have a bad attitude because he wants to go to his friend Tyler's house. You just tell him no. He's not allowed to go. He has to stay here with you. And I was like, you got it. And so when I was like, hey kids, what do you want to do? Want to play some games? Want to color? Want to like watch a movie? Mark was like, I'm going to Tyler's house. I don't care. This kid spoke like that. And I was like, no, you're not. No, you're not. You're not leaving. And then he proceeded to storm into the kitchen, opened a drawer, pulled out a huge knife, and replied to me, what are you gonna do about it, you bitch? To 14-year-old me. And so I was like, whoa. I didn't know this friend hang was so serious. Of course, I'm terrified and shocked and insulted. He's holding the knife and he's all red-faced. And I was like, okay, just like calm down. This is not a big deal. And he was like, don't tell me what to do, because I was a new babysitter. So he's like, who's this bitch? Like, You know, it's like, he doesn't know me. His mom put me in charge. His character of being so enraged was like, I want to do this thing and she's telling me I can't, but who is she? And so I'm terrified because he has this very real sharp knife, like 20 feet away from me. And his little brother, his 6-year-old brother, is just in the other room kind of watching all this happen. And so I was like, time out, just take a breather. And I called my mom because I didn't know what else to do. It was my first babysitting job. And she was horrified because she trusted that our neighbor, this mother, would be putting her daughter into a safe situation watching her children. But in fact, that was not what happened. My mom told me, I'm gonna call Mark's mother and you're gonna leave. And I was like, I can't leave these kids. And she was like, yes, you can. You are not safe there. You can walk home. And so she called Mark's mother, who, to an astonishing reply, was very casually said, I was waiting for a day when he would do something like this. And my mom was like, what the f? If you knew that, why would you let my daughter babysit? She's like, oh, I don't like, not something like this, but just like, he's just, you know, he's got issues. I left at like right before his mom like pulled in the driveway. So I think he like kind of quarantined himself in his bedroom and like slammed the door and put on some kind of loud music or something. My father was not pleased with this. He went over to their house and basically threatened this young child, which I don't think was a good idea, and said like, don't ever come near my daughter again and all this stuff. And this tough little kid was like, I don't know, they exchanged words. My father exchanged words with like a 10-year-old. Everything was fine. My safety was fine. Their parents took care of them. I later found out that Mark told his father, who then broke the back window of my dad's car. So luckily everyone was okay, but it was really weird and scary, and never went back to that house ever again, and went on to babysit lovely children in the future, and drove by with caution every time after.